Hello everyone, thank you for your interest in our research. I am Jaydeep Saha uh, from the National University of Singapore, and I'm going to present our paper Electrifying Lives with Community Empowerment. As a part of the agenda, I'll first introduce the problem of energy poverty and the research gap that is still there in the literature. Then I will propose our solution, which has meticulously taken into account the three areas of technical design, business model, and the impact assessment. Then I'll give you the two methods by which we have validated our technical proposal. I'll discuss the relevant results, and finally, I'll provide some concluding remarks. So, it is quite a sad plight that globally about 3 billion people live in acute energy poverty and about a billion people have no access to electricity. So the World Bank has declared energy to be one of the major sustainable development goals. In fact, it is one of the most important sustainable development goals that also relate few other sustainable development goals with each other. So there's a problem where the traditional model of electrification cannot be used to resolve this acute energy poverty because the high infrastructure costs and the dependency on fossil fuels is an obstacle for extending the electrification program for developing and underdeveloped countries. There are some economic off-grid microgrid solutions that has been presented in literature. However, the effectiveness and the meticulous impact assessment of such solutions isn't really a common knowledge. So this paper presents an off-grid microgrid based electrification solution for rural areas, especially which are remote, and it has aimed to leverage the locally available renewable energy sources, and it is customized to the requirements of the local community. This work was done as a part of the IEEE Power Electronic Societies Empower a Billion Lives competition. For our study, we have taken Sumba Island as our target location and doing some surveys with the localites. We have come to know that their major occupations are agriculture, textiles, and fishing, and the major community problems include lack of drinking water, health facilities, lighting facilities, and very little scope for employment. So I'll give a brief overview about the technical system description. So you can see that we have solar and wind as renewable energy generation, the battery energy storage, and the diesel generator. Um, So talking about the control strategy, we would like to have maximum power being extracted from the renewable energy sources, and thus we would use the common MPPT algorithms for extracting the power from them, and the battery energy storage would form the grid and thus the grid voltage, and the diesel generator is more from the reliability point of view and would come in when the battery energy storage and the renewable energy sources are not enough to supply the demand. So coming to the load, there are broadly two kind of loads: the commercial loads, which are also known as the income generating loads, and the residential uh, consumers and the public service loads. So for the commercial loads, the major ones are e-tuk-tuk, the refrigeration or micro cold storage, and the cottage industry. For the residential consumers, you have the household loads, the health center, primary school lighting facilities, the reverse osmosis drinking water plant, etc. Coming to the metering, it is a little bit different in case of the two kinds of loads. For the residential loads, we would like to have RFID-based pay-as-you-go kind of smart metering systems. And for the commercial loads, we would have a little bit more specialized NB-IoT metering systems, which is a good way of having both flexibility and uh, less cost uh, so that we can economically include the factor of the dynamic pricing into such loads. Here, there's some detailed information regarding the energy generation and storage of the proposed rural microgrid solution. So the efficiency figures have been taken from the standard data sheets, and the energy generated per kilowatt hour has been calculated according to the number of uh, units that we have considered, and we can see that we are getting a total generation of about 99.6 kilowatt hour per day. Uh, we have also specified the features of the major uh, community, or let's say the commercial loads, which are the micro cold storage and the electric vehicle. Also, you can see the energy consumption profile in the proposed microgrid here, where the types of loads are divided into household loads and service loads. And the total energy consumption comes out to be 93.6 kilowatt hour per day. And the energy consumption profile can be divided into the day and night time, which are respectively shown here. Okay. Coming to the business model, the total cost of setting up the proposed rural microgrid would be about USD 80,000. The business model is made in such a way that the infrastructure assets would be owned by the investors, and the assets would be leased to a local operating community who constitute some members of the local community itself, and they will be taking care of the utilization part. Now looking at figure 2, we can see the breakdown of revenue, energy consumption, and various costs among stakeholders. The major source of revenue are the commercial loads, such as the micro cold storage, cottage industry, and transportation, and the revenue has been kept proportional to the profits. And as a result of the revenue collected from these commercial loads, the household and community demand centers can be subsidized. Also, we have taken care of the costs associated with the different risks, such as the technical problems in the cold storage to our cottage industry, and also the pragmatic inefficiencies that are usually associated with the billing and collection system in the developing and underdeveloped countries. We have also done a cash flow analysis, and we have found the expected break-even point for this project to be after 3 years. Now comes the important aspect of impact assessment. So there are two parts. First, the social impact assessment, where it can be observed that there is a new access to services such as refrigeration, transportation, and mechanization of cottage industry, which will boost their occupational needs, or would be helpful for their businesses. Now, there is a significant income generation through the cottage industries, electrical maintenance, and the transportation systems, um, because there are more jobs being created in those sectors. And also, it has to be noted that services such as lighting, reverse osmosis, drinking water plants, and the basic energy needs of the rural health centers in the village wouldn't have been possible without the access to electricity. We've also done a calculation of the total impact on the community in terms of the employment generation and empowering the entrepreneurship activities. And a pragmatic calculation comes out to be about 10,000 to 13,000 USD per month for a community of about 50 families. Next up, the other way that we have validated the impact assessment is through the on-site impact evaluation. So we have already set up a 1.2 kilowatt peak nanogrid, which is based on solar and is designed to supply about 19 households consisting of about 25 families with 4 community kitchens and 1 community hall, also known as Bala in common language. So the total cost of the nanogrid is about USD 6,300, with approximately 80% of it recovered by the end of 2019, majorly through company CSR and the Maybank's program named Empowering Youth. On the left-hand side, you can see the 1.2 kilowatt peak nanogrid installation in the Sumba Island, Indonesia, and on the right-hand side is the single-line diagram of the entire system. Coming to the benefits, the educational and handicraft-related activities can be carried out even after sunset, thus causing a significant improvement to those occupations and the learning activities. There's an improvement of the community health and hygiene, which is attributed mostly to the availability of clean drinking water. Avoidance of health hazards that were associated with kerosene flames usage could be avoided as the inhabitants has shifted to use of LED lamps. Ease of phone charging, which has also followed and has enhanced communication, especially during emergency and business needs. We have done a feedback survey, and the inhabitants have informed us that they appreciate the contribution of this system in uplifting their businesses and thus their living standards. And they have developed a sense of responsibility towards this installation that we have done. So coming to the technical proposal validation, the first way is to have a scaled down testbed emulation, which we have carried out at the Simba-based testbed at Create. You can see the setup on the left and the single line diagram of the testbed on the right. So the MATLAB Simulink model has also been developed to simulate the full-scale 24 kilowatt system with all the data being collected from the on-site. So we use the on-site data of demand as well as generation and do the detailed simulation through MATLAB Simulink to see if there are any issues or if everything is working well or expected to work well in the full-scale system. So first I would like to discuss the results that we got from the microgrid testbed scale down emulation. So on the left hand side you can see the commercial and household load profiles which are being collected from the common literature that describes the load profiles in such an island. And from the on-site solar irradiation data that we have calculated, we have found out the net power generation profile for the emulated microgrid scenario. This is the demand profile that is an addition of the commercial and household loads. And also we could verify that whatever we have designed as the storage requirement, if it is being able to meet our requirements. And yes, we have seen that it can do pretty well. And when the renewable energy sources are not there, it is being able to supply the load. So here in the emulation studies, with whatever equipment we had, we could emulate a solar nanogrid scenario. Now we move on to the simulation platform where we could have both the solar and wind. Also, we could have more flexibility in terms of the load profiles where we had three load profiles: household, commercial, and community. Where you can see the total demand, that is the addition of all the loads. Here it is the total uh, generation, which is the addition of wind and solar. And here it is the total storage. So everything seems to work seamlessly with when the storage being designed properly. And we have noted that whatever design that we have done using our conservative approach seems to work very well, and we have surplus energy uh, to be supplied even during a cloudy or partially cloudy day. Here in this specific example, we have taken a partially cloudy day, and the load is being uninterruptibly supplied. So yeah, there are no problems, and it is expected that the full-scale solution at 24 kilowatt would be working seamlessly. So as a conclusion, we have provided a summary of the verification methods, results, and contributions. So from the on-site installation, which has a generation capacity of 1.2 kilowatt peak, uh, there our primary focus was to have a small-scale solar nanogrid project and check the economic empowerment and the maintenance of the system. So here the contribution was to study the on-site installation issues and have a meticulous on-site social impact assessment. And after that, the testbed emulation had a generation capacity of about 5 kilowatt peak, and the emulation of generation loads and energy storage to establish a operational microgrid could provide a good validation of our operation principle in hardware. Also, the energy generation estimates and the energy management system that we had planned could be verified all at once. So the simulation analysis, on the other hand, simulated the whole 24 kilowatt full-scale system and the power profiles for the proposed microgrid with on-site data for both generation and demand. So here the contribution is mostly the verification of the microgrid's operation and the proposed full-scale utility systems design estimate. So if everything is expected to work well for such a full-scale system. So we have presented the technical, business, and social aspects of setting economic, community level, microgrid at a rural level. So there we have made sure that we use most of the clean renewable energy source. So we have proposed the technical solution and validated it through simulation and scale down emulation. And the business model and impact proposed by us has also been very meticulously reviewed, and the impact of the nanogrid has been studied through 1.2 kilowatt peak implementation in the Sumba Island. So we have tried to cover holistically the technical, business, and the impact, and in fact the social impact aspects of setting up an economic rural microgrid solution. And that is what we have been able to do. And thank you so much for your time. And if you are interested, you can visit YouTube and search for Empara Billion Lives Power at NUS, where you'll be able to see a live demonstration of our project. Thank you again, and have a great day.